He wants to build a living Shiva once again, a perfect teacher for the world.
What the hell is it like to be able to even work on constructing an energy body? Ra-ta-ta-ta-ta! Lights, camera, learning. Today we're here with a fan-requested, highly requested video. Sadhguru on the life of Jiddu Krishnamurti.
Woo! Krishnamurti, I think.
Someone in our comments said that they pronounced the U as a double O.
Whoa.
That's why I've been saying that, but I've also seen other people say we're pronouncing it correctly. So you say one, I'll say the other, and then we can't go wrong.
Yes, every time.
Every time. So yeah, we don't know what he's going to talk about. But
yeah, but we know that you wanted to see this.
So let's do it. Let's get into this.
Let's just do it, okay? Let's do it.
Jiddu Krishnamurti was born in a village called Madanapalli. I've been to his house where he was born and where he lived. A century-old house, a cute little house, nice place.
Century-old.
It's kept like a monument for him today. At one time in early 20th century and late 19th century, Theosophy spread across the world. This was started by Madame Blavatsky, who had a great interest in occult and mysticism, and she spent late 19th century and early 20th century saw a lot of British and other European seekers of mysticism traveling to India and exploring and writing lots of books, many of them, you know. Max Muller, Paul Brunton and many others. Blavatsky was even before them. These are all explorers of mysticism. It was, in those days, not like going to some place to learn, it was an adventure that you really have to take off on a horseback and go to a strange country, battle all kinds of things, try to meet the right kind of gurus, and it was a whole adventure. So they put themselves through all this. Madame Blavatsky traveled to all kinds of places. She went to Tibet, she went to India, and then she came down to Tamil Nadu and set up the Theosophical Society out there, which still is there. And then their dream became to produce a perfect being. Project.
Wow. Is he about to say that Jiddu is the perfect being that they tried to create?
That's what I'm thinking, because I've heard some stuff in the comments about Jiddu being part of this old prophecy. Or like that he didn't just appear out of nowhere, like this happened for a reason. And that's got me fascinated because I've been listening to his full lectures a bit, and yeah, he's just on some other stuff. He's just on some next level things, and it's incredible. And yeah, all right, let's just keep going.
Then they unearthed this information. I don't know to what extent they went, but actually, in the yogic lore, in the tradition, there was a yogi by the name Sunira. Sunira saw that human consciousness could be evolved if you produce a perfect human being who could render this to all sorts of people. In a way, he comes from the tradition of Shiva. Somewhere it's his dream to build another being like that. He wants to build a living Shiva once again, a perfect teacher for the world, who is completely multidimensional, not this kind of teaching or that kind of teaching. As Shiva explored the whole human consciousness and human body in every possible way, he wants that kind of a living being. So he started building the energy body. for that kind.
What?
And then he believed that he could build a physical body on top of that and let him loose in the world with a lifespan of a few hundred or thousand years, so that he will transform the whole world by the time his time is done. So he started working on this project. And of course he died unfulfilled. Many ambitious yogis picked up the same project that Sunira had left and tried to reconstruct this energy body of a perfect teacher who can transform human consciousness. So,
What the hell is it like to be able to even work on constructing an energy body?
I feel like what an incredible just thing. And how he's talking about it spanning through many lifetimes.
I know that the idea, or I'm sure you guys know this better than me, or some of you, that the consecrated like temples that Sadhguru has made are, the idea is that he puts an energy body into a thing. Like the Dali Linga, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, is like a living energy body that he made out of himself.
Lots of people want us to watch that, so we should do that soon. Yeah.
But it seems like the way I'm thinking about it is you could put energy into something else, but I don't know how you could like form an energy body. I mean, I don't know how Sadhguru does that, but what does it mean to just form an energy body?
Yeah.
And like, how do you just like keep working on that every day?
I feel like it's
Here's the first, here's you're just building it.
No, exactly. I feel like it's good for us to recognize that we just have we couldn't even conceptualize what that would be like. And I think what I'm left with is how noble of a pursuit that is. That you are doing something that you might not even finish in your lifetime. A lot of people didn't. And regardless of whatever the substance of it was, the goal was just to raise everyone up. Collectively. It was like you're creating this one being to raise everyone up. And I feel like that's incredibly beautiful. Just that alone. Yeah.
So, Madame Blavatsky, Leadbeater and Annie Besant, who came together to power this theosophy movement across the world, which they successfully did to a large extent, and they gathered the most phenomenal occult library on the planet is still in the Theosophical Society of India. They gathered every kind of book on occult, and they set up a whole study team. Even now, Jiddu Krishnamurti's groups are called study groups, yes? Study circles or study groups, say, because the study groups were set up by Annie Besant and Leadbeater. These are brilliant intellects, no question about that. But they have no inner experience, but they have gathered phenomenal amount of information. So somewhere they believe with this information and with their intelligence and intellect, they can recreate all this. And they started looking for appropriate bodies upon which this body of a super teacher can be imposed upon.
Whoa.
Jiddu Krishnamurti, Rukmini Arundale, who else? One more, whatever. They started putting them through very severe training to prepare them, physically, mentally. But they have no inner experience. They're reading books and trying to do this to these boys. And they put JK and all kinds of meditative processes, and he attained to a certain level of… he became a fantastic human being. He was something that nobody could decipher, but he was like a flower, his fragrance could not be missed. Then they decided, when JK was about 20 years of age, 27 or 28 years of age, this Theosophical Society decided to announce to the world that he is the world teacher. The perfect teacher has come. People gathered with great interest in this. JK came on the podium and he said, "I am not a world teacher." Poof! The whole Theosophical Society and their project, everything went down the tube. He had the courage and the sense and the wisdom to say, "I am not." Most idiots would have said, "Yes, I am the world teacher, I am the reincarnation of Buddha and Jesus and everything." Most idiots would have done that.
Yes. 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 He says this, Jiddu says this in a lot of his things. He says, like, how he's not a teacher. He's not like, what are you here for? I'm not the teacher. Or something like that. And it reminds me of, we were just watching an Osho thing and we were talking about how the best leaders or spiritual leaders renounce themselves. Don't say that they're leaders. And that's exactly what Jiddu does. And that is more telling than anything else could be, because he probably could have grown his power so much more than you could ever imagine if he was like, yes, I'm all these things. I'm this incredible being that no one's ever seen before. But he recognized what Sadhguru was saying is that they were using these wrong methods, these intellectual methods to create him that didn't go along with the yogic tradition. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And you can hear in Sadhguru's voice like the reverence he has for Jiddu.
Yeah, the love.
I feel like that's the love, yeah. It's pretty incredible to like hear that from him.
He had the sense and the wisdom and the vision to say that I am not this nonsense that they're trying to make me out of. And JK came out of Theosophy and he started speaking. He's a brilliant speaker. So people gathered around him, enormous wisdom and sense. So when he spoke, people sat rapt. Quite magical, the way he speaks. You know, somebody was talking to me, when I was just 17, 18 years of age, someone was talking to me, JK study circles, it was fashionable. For all those people who think they're intellectual, you have to read JK, you have to listen to JK's audios, otherwise you're not intellectual enough. In the Indian intelligentsia, if you have not read JK, Kierkegaard and Dostoevsky, you have no brain actually. That's how it's treated. So it's like fashion. For everybody, they should have read this, whether they get it or they don't get it. You read Dostoevsky, you read Kierkegaard, you read Jiddu Krishnamurti, means you got some brain working. That's a gauge. So people were talking, JK, he's something every Saturday afternoon, they have a study circle where they play some audio tapes and his books are there and things. Some of my friends invited me and I went. So they were playing a short video. The man was sitting like this is the first time I'm seeing him, the first time I'm listening to him. He was still alive at that time. Just the integrity of the person is spilling all over him. Just the sheer integrity of the man cannot be missed.
Yeah. That lines up, because he's talking about just watching a video of him, and for myself, the first time I watched a video with him fully was when we did the reaction, and the first thing I said was not about anything that he said. And I was like, I couldn't really produce the words well, but just what Sadhguru is calling this integrity, the state of being is immediately felt. You know, irrespective of whatever the heck he's saying. He could have been saying gibberish, but the way he was saying it it tells you way more about how
he has like no front. Like he's not putting anything up.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. It's just like, I'm just saying what I know, and I'm not going to say anything other than that.
Which is, I've been learning that is the way to go. Is you only speak from a place of knowing, not from a place of believing, or anything like that, like just like Sadhguru says.
And that knocks out like 99.5% of what I say. so then you become very quiet.
Or you speak up and you're like, that was stupid.
yeah, every time you're like, oh, dang it. Yeah, that's what it feels like recently.
Yeah. In a way, like, doing reactions has become very interesting to me. Because I'm trying to speak from a place of knowing, and I've been speaking much less, but we can't do a reaction and pause and go,
I've got nothing to say.
Yeah. You wouldn't like that. Like, I feel like this is also very helpful in a different way. So that's been something that I've been playing around with. If you have any insights into that, let us know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's just something that, it's a little contradiction that's just been playing around and up in here, and kind of like it.
Just a learning party.
Ready for class? Very good.
I didn't do much reading. I heard a few audios and watched a few videos. I enjoyed him, but I was too wild to listen to anybody. I had no time for anything. Life was calling me all the time. So I had no time to listen to my parents or my teachers or JK or IJ or XYZ, you know. I had no…
With Fundrise, you can invest here, from there, or there.
No time for anything, so I left the study circle and went on. Maybe I attended this for about 5 weeks, I remember very well. It was about 5 weekends I went there, every Saturday afternoon, just for about an hour and a half. They would play 1.5 an hour video or audio, and then they'll all get into discussion and one big confusion. Because nobody around him understood what he's talking about.
Okay, I think it was Jiddu who said this. That lines up with what Sadhguru is saying about the problem with these study circles. Jiddu was saying, I think, that the problem with debates is that there's no end. A debate just keeps going and going and going and going and going, and you never get anywhere. And then we just talked about knocking off a bunch of the stuff that goes on.
Because so much of debate is chilling in belief.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that has been super difficult for me recently, is the idea of seeing someone else's lifestyle being like, yo, that's destroying the earth. Yo, that's hurting people. Yo, that's whatever. And then being like, where is the thing that makes someone's belief system different? You know, not necessarily the thing that makes it different, or that's interesting, but the fact that our belief systems are different, that they are doing what they see as the good and right thing to do. Like, they are literally just living the life that they have, and they're doing it the best they can. And then I have this like drive to change things, you know, to like move in a direction of survival, sustainability, whatever you want to call it, or just joy, peace on earth. But then I get to this point of like, who am I to know? And then I just freeze up, because like all the debates I've had throughout my life are me with a stack of beliefs against someone else with a stack of beliefs.
But I feel like that's where the answer is. The answer is right there, is you need to just like let the beliefs fall off as they fall off, and then you have nothing juxtaposed between you and the other person.
And that's all good and fine, but then what do you do? That's what I'm saying. That's the spot where it's like, so then we get rid of all of our beliefs, and you're still going to do your thing, I'm still going to do my thing. We're still working on our beliefs. Like, I mean, obviously, ideally, we could somehow let those go and come into some new space together.
Well, what I've heard from many teachers is that the only way you could possibly affect someone else's life or affect someone else's belief system is by setting an example and by going about your life in a certain way that opens them to a new thing. Because someone who's stuck in their belief system is not ever going to hear a word Sadhguru says, you know? And so this is for people who are like already on this path. But if you were to meet Sadhguru in person and witness his state of being, that could be an experience that sends you somewhere else. But his words, I don't think, have the power to send you somewhere else. Just like our words would not have the power to... I feel like I've had many debates in my life. I don't actually think I've changed anyone with any of my debates. How many hours? Lots. Yeah.
Lots.
So I feel like then you just set the example.
Yeah. I guess that's where I'm questioning myself. What is the example? You know, what is the path? Because the more I guess that just feels shaky to me, you know, because how much of the path is me wanting to be something, you know, seeing a Sadhguru and being like, dang, that guy's living like the best life you could. And then me like reenacting something like that, just trying to turn into that.
Yeah.
When it's like, I don't know, I guess this is like the big conflict right now within me, or just one of the big ones. It's like, there is nowhere to stand. And it's freaky, because it's like, oh, like, do you just... It feels like there's some sort of like letting go that needs to happen, and you just drop. But it's like...
Yeah. That's good.
The Matrix.
That's good.
Red pillar.
I feel like there's nothing more about that. It's like you're there.
Yeah.
With the nowhere to stand, gotta let it go. And then you just gotta wait and just let it go.
And then see what the frick happens.
And then it's like you were just telling me last night. If you've seen the Alan Watts reaction we did recently, it's about gambling with life. It's like letting it go, belief systems, letting them fall off as they fall off, and allowing yourself to not be standing anywhere because of that. You don't know what that's going to be like.
That's a big risk.
That's
a big gamble.
Huge
a lot
risk.
Of trust.
That's everything that you ever thought out the window.
Yeah.
And so that's a big, huge gamble. So it's not for the light-hearted, and you're ready for it.
Because he refuses to use any method, he refuses to use any example, he refuses to use any parable, any story, any joke or anything.
Whoa.
This is just intellectual dissection.
I've never thought of that.
This is called as Dhana Market. This is pure Dhana Market. Dhana means the way of the intellect. Out of these 7 billion people, if you find 10,000 people who have that kind of a razor-sharp intellect, who can, without any kind of context, they can go on slicing things, you will not even find I don't think you'll find 10,000. Maybe you'll find 1,000 people. And those 1,000 people may not be interested in the spiritual process. They may be trying to slice through the stock market, they may be trying to slice through something else. So, around JK, everybody could feel the man is special, but nobody could get what he was talking about, because he refused to play the role of a guru, he refused to initiate anybody into anything, he refused to give any kind of method, any kind of process. Wow. He said it anyway happened. It is true. Anyway it will happen. But maybe after 1,000,000 lifetimes.
My favorite thing that I've experienced around this man, JK, this whole time, is just one person's comment. They left a really thoughtful comment about him and then left a quote at the end. And that quote has really stuck with me. My trick is, or my truth, the thing about me is, I don't care what happens. Sit with that. Sit with that one. Because then you witness him. You witness him talking, and it feels like everything he's saying is the most critical thing ever. And you would imagine that this is all of the utmost importance. But then on the flip side, the paradox, he says, it doesn't matter what happens to me. I don't care what happens. Not even just to me. Just in general, I just don't care. And how can you hold those both? How can you speak as if everything you're saying is so crucial, and then also hold the other one? That's incredible. Jeez. Yeah.
So if you're in a hurry, either you must have that kind of an intellect, which is rare, or you must be willing to use the other faculties that you have of body, energy, emotion, all these things. He went driving on one wheel of his car. He's good at it, but nobody else could get to do it. Fantastic human being. When he was there was a fragrance. When he's gone, only books. Because there's no living process. So Khalil Gibran said about J. Krishnamurti, when I walked into the room, JK was sitting and Khalil Gibran went to meet him. He said, when I walked into the room, I walked into a wall of love. It just hit me in the face.
Whoa.
So you would never associate JK with love. He's not a loving man.
That's really interesting because I just watched a video on him earlier, and one of the top comments was, so many people watch his teachings and don't associate it with the heart or associate it with love. But he's just opening you through to the space where you can experience it. And he seems so cold sometimes and intellectual. But she was saying that he has opened her heart and her space in herself where she's love more than anything else has in her life. And so that lines up really well with this story about this man walking through the door and being hit with a wave of love, because you don't feel a lot of love initially.
A lot of emotion at all.
But it's his way, you know? It's his brand of it. It's his brand of awakening people to the love. And you don't know why, but that's how he did it. And he did it incredibly, and he does it incredibly. It's just how it all works is just beyond me.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's not how he looks. He's like this. He definitely doesn't look loving, but he's very loving. His energies are absolutely compassionate, but his words are like knife.
Yes.
So, people felt something, but they couldn't figure what it is. They couldn't get a hold on it because he wouldn't give a hold. He said, if you hold it, you may get stuck with this, so don't hold. If there were millions of razor-sharp minds in the world, that would have been a fabulous way to do things. But in today's world, in the existing way the humanity is, the way people's intellects are entangled in a million things, that method is just not going to get anybody anywhere. It's a beautiful process, but there must be people who can digest it, isn't it? So, J. Krishnamurti was like a flower. his fragrance was felt when he was alive. And that's all. His words are good if you want to kind of use it as an intellectual exercise to drop a few things, they could be useful, brilliant. His intellectual brilliance just comes out every moment of his life. He started a few schools which are wonderful schools, just still on. I must tell you my association with him. When I went to this weekends for five Saturdays, Saturday afternoons, an hour and a half, that's my exposure to him. On one day he spoke about education. And it really gripped me. And it really twisted me inside out because of all the ideas. I had never thought of an alternative way of educating people. I was only thinking of how to dismantle all the education system in my mind. When he spoke about education, suddenly it struck me, there's another way to do this. So just this thought came to my mind. I was just maybe 17, 18, and I was living wild and I have dreams of running away somewhere. So I just thought if at any time if a child comes under my control, I would like to put the child to this kind of education. So it just so happened when my daughter had to go to school, when she got admission in some of the best schools in Ooty, but then it just flashed me in my mind that, okay, there's a JK school, why don't I send her there? And she went to that school and she spent 8 years studying there. So just those 5 Saturday afternoons, an hour and a half, that much impact he had on me.
Wow.
That I handed over my daughter to his care in one way or the other.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
That's like the definition of integrity. Like if you trust someone enough to just give them your child.
Yeah.
And how it just we don't think about that at all. Or I guess like where we're from, homeschool is really your other option. Like there are private schools, there are the public schools, and you can homeschool if you're like, these two institutions aren't going to teach my children what I want them to learn or the way I want them to learn. So you can definitely think that with someone like Sadhguru, who's perceiving at that level, that like the choice he's making when it comes to those things,
it's huge. Because he talks about not wanting, he would ask people to not teach his daughter ever. He would ask people to do that. So that's obviously something so important to him, and to give that up, because I know that he didn't want to send his daughter to school. That's my perception of what his situation was, but he just became so entangled in like all the things. Sadhguru, he's just everyone wants him. And so he had to send his daughter to school, and to send her there, that's so telling. And also what's stuck with me listening to him is that clearly Sadhguru does everything very different from Jiddu. Sadhguru has a method that he says people can follow. He has, all of his teachings are leading you away from your intellect in a certain way. But yet Sadhguru is able to hold the paradox comfortably.
The paradox of different ways to learn?
Yes, because he could easily be like, Jiddu, I thought he was pretty cool, but he had completely wrong ways of going about things. He was intellectual, he was cutting things up, You know, he talks in other videos about the harm of the intellect chopping things up. I've heard him just a few times.
He doesn't talk about the intellect being harmful. He talks about the way we hold the intellect being harmful, as if the intellect is the knife, and we don't know where the handle is, so we're constantly gripping the blade.
But I think it's just incredible that he's talking about someone who purposefully did not have methods because Jiddu clearly thought that was not the way. But then Sadhguru has methods and does not feel the need to contradict the teachings. He doesn't feel the need to say, well, I have methods. Here's X, Y, Z, why my way is better. He does not feel the need.
It's also amazing because maybe Jiddu also understood that his intellectual method, in the same way that Sadhguru was talking, like, if you had people who had crazy strong intellects, Jiddu could have done it for them. But maybe he understood that my method, or like the way that I am, can only support these types of like dropping some baggage and things like that.
Yeah, and he said
so then he's gonna do that. He's gonna be of service rather than like try to be. Dude, that story about him like going on stage and everyone being like, this is like the greatest being of our time or whatever, and then he goes like at the beginning of this and he just goes, I'm not the teacher.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That right away shows you like,
yes.
This guy understands
yes.
and is willing to.
He's willing to be of service as needed.
Exactly.
Not as he wants it to be.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like Sadhguru was saying how he learned how to ride his car using only one wheel.
Yeah.
And like that was not a method for everyone, but he found a way. And that was his perfect way. But he didn't, like, the way that he circumvents your enthusiasm and your excitement is incredible.
Yeah.
How he does not allow you to grab onto him at all or his teachings. Somehow, I don't know how he does it, but he doesn't allow you to latch on and to become attached, which is incredible.
Whereas like so many of the other, like even a Sadhguru Ram Dass, these types of people, it's so easy.
It's so easy to become attached.
These are like the teachings.
And so I love, for myself, being able to hold all these different teachers and the different spices that they give you, because they're so different. Like what Sadhguru gives you and what Jiddu gives you, and whoever else, name the spiritual teacher, they'll all give you something completely different. Yet they are all pointing the same way, somehow. At the essence.
At least that's how I perceive it.
Yeah. It's a feeling. It's like you can feel that they're pointing the same way. It doesn't even exist up here. It can't exist up here because how could it? Because they're all contradicting each other, you know?
Now I feel like I know a lot more about the myth.
Yeah.
Jiddu.
And I just want to watch more of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited.
This new understanding. Yeah.
Nice. Well, what did you folks think? You enjoy? You got anything from Jiddu or Sadhguru or any other teacher you want us to watch? Toss it down below.
Yeah, whatever you all have been suggesting has been fantastic, so just keep suggesting.
Yes.
Because we're just going to keep following that. Yeah. Okay. Much love.
Much love.